Ujai. Welcome to the Tassanet and Sobek experience. Real talk, real time, where their experience is your medicine. Ujai a bit. That's my dude for greetings, family. And this is Brother Sobek Kashekanwi Mary Ra with my beloved.
And I'm Tassanet and Faret Mary E.T.
And we would both like to welcome you to our space. But today, we're going to talk about something a little bit serious. A lot of very serious topic, you know, the aspect of assault, particularly sexual assault. And we talk a lot about sisters, women, but we never talk about fellas. You know, my aspect of liberation and revolution is from the mental health point of view, something that in our community that we need to talk about a lot, and we really don't. We hide it under the blanket, you know, or we say like in Vegas, what happens in Vegas stays in Vegas. But today we're going to talk about a serious topic, and that is male rape. I'm going to put it out there like that. So listen, look, learn, and share. So here we go.
Yes, today we are going to be discussing male rape. You know, in the black community, in the African community, sexual assault has been going on a long time.
Yes.
Right, King?
Yes, it has.
And if you grew up like I grew up, what stays in this house, what goes on in this house stays in this house. That is the infamous line that I'm sure most anybody that grew up in the African community has heard before. Because of that line, it has caused a lot of hurt, a lot of dysfunction, and a lot of turmoil. But today, we want to address this topic and provide solutions. Not only solutions, but we are going to hear from my beloved, my king, on his lived experience and what he did to overcome male rape.
And I want to address the brothers on that because I know there are more brothers than me who have experienced assault, be it physical, be it emotional, or be it mental. You know, we read the law a lot about, you know, women, domestic abuse, you know, rape, you know, and the law is in the favor of women, and you know that's good and that's bad because we never look at the whole picture of what maybe motivated that brother, and yes, some sisters too, to assault someone physically, mentally, and emotionally. So for me, we're going to share my experience, and I think that's the best way to tackle this matter is for me to share my experience because to me, I don't listen to anybody who ain't been through what I've been through. You know, in recovery, I can't talk to somebody who never been raped or deal with PTSD or deal with bipolar. You know, we need to deal with these issues because I firmly know, because it happened to me, that when you free the soul, when you free the mind, when you free the mind, you free the soul. So hopefully today, someone's watching this who's male or someone who knows somebody who's male, be you straight or LGBTQIA and all that other stuff, you know, because rape is rape. And we're going to talk about that. So today we're going to have like a semi-interview and I'm going to share and, you know, and hopefully someone will learn. So listen and absorb. Not just hear, listen and absorb.
All right. Okay, King. Thank you very much for sharing. And my first question is, at what age were you sexually violated?
Ooh, let's get with it. Well, the first time I was 7 years old, and my cousin had me explore, and I was very uncomfortable with it. You know, to be real about it, you know, we would hang out in the basement, and he would always call me down in the basement, and I knew what was coming. And I would dread that, because we'd be playing and having a good time, and all of a sudden I'm down there, and to give you details, he would have me lay on top of him, and that was very uncomfortable for me because being in the South and being a church person, growing up with a grandmama who was Pentecostal, we was taught that what Leviticus says, if a man lay with a man, then that's abomination in the eyes of God. So I knew that at a very young age. But my cousin would call me down, and we wouldn't take our clothes off or anything like that. But the aspect of just being in an uncompromised and uncomfortable position, and that was the first time. Second time, I was 14, 8th grade, and this time it was violent. It wasn't an assault; it was downright, I would say murder of my innocence. So, and that story was that back in the day, you had the program called CETA program. I forgot what the acronym stands for. But when you're growing up in the inner city of Chicago and you broke, no bread, and you're 14, and you get opportunity to get some money, you go at it. And me being in nature is a I don't want to say hustler, but a merchant, entrepreneur. I knew early that I had to look out for myself. So the brother called me to the spot on a Saturday, and I was excited to earn some extra money because there was a time when Nikes and all that stuff was coming out, Izod and Giorgio Armani, and I wanted to be in the in crowd, so I worked that earlier day. I worked off that day. So he gave me a call, and I rushed. And this was at a church. And I walk in, and I'm thinking everybody else was going to be there, and unfortunately for me, he tricked me and threatened me with my mother. So having me pull down my pants, and he went straight in, no love, no glove, no love, no glove, and proceeded to take my innocence. And like most rape victims would tell you, the moment that happened, you just, you go completely numb, and you don't want to. You want to exercise yourself. And I mean exercise, I'm talking about like the exorcist. You want to take yourself out of there mentally, so you just shut down. And I didn't tell. Not that happened. He said if I told anybody that he was going to, have my mother hurt. But what this coward did was tell everybody else. And from that time, I was ostracized in the neighborhood, and people, other gay dudes were coming at me saying, I heard what you did, so if you don't do what I asked, I'm going to tell people. And of course, I didn't do what they asked me to do. And of course, I was ostracized. I was an outcast. So, and that really messed me up in the aspect of intimacy, platonic as well as romantic. I wouldn't let women touch me, nor dudes, and also struggling with identification, sexual preference. Was I straight? Was I gay? Did I let this dude do it to me? Was I weak? All these thoughts went to my mind from the age of 14 to 28, because that's when I told my mother when I was 28. So that's the story of that.
Well, I really commend your courageousness, King, for being able to tell your story. Because somebody, a brother, is out here, he has gone through the same thing, but is scared to talk about it, and is probably scared to get some help.
Well, let me address that brother and sister if you're watching.
Well, I have another question.
Okay, by all means.
You already answered my second question, which was how did it affect you psychologically and emotionally?
Well, let's talk about that.
Okay.
Because that led to other things other than non-sexual identity. I became an abuser, because I felt powerless. And, and other things were going on at that time. I'm just putting my business out there, but we all been through it in this time and age, to a certain degree. My father and my mother wasn't together. My mother was involved with a dude I knew was bad. We moved from the burbs to the hood. It's a whole lifestyle change. I call it from Brady Bunch to good times. I want to say that. So that was a lot of other stuff that's going on with that. So I want to say to that brother and sister, if you haven't told somebody, find somebody and tell them. It don't matter if you 3 or 99. Tell somebody. Because you'll be surprised you are not alone. And I'm talking to men in particular, because we don't address brother issues. Because you tell something like this, and from my experience, women have called me weak. Women have threw it in my face. You know, I lived uncomfortable from age 25 to 40, struggling with my identity. You know, I've been in jail for domestic abuse. You know, I've lost a lot of stuff. This caused me to really have that backdoor sadness, as I say, that backdoor memory. So if you are that person, tell somebody. Tell somebody. If you are a young person, tell somebody. Find somebody you can trust and tell somebody. I didn't have that opportunity. So it will help you.
Yes, it definitely will help you. And I'm glad that we are tackling this topic because, in the wake of the Me Too, in the wake of the Me Too movement,
Yes.
it really brought to the forefront, which we already knew about women being sexually assaulted. And that's a good thing. But we never talk about the brothers because of what society think of what a man should be or how a man should act. But brothers hurt too.
Right.
Brothers, little boys, men get raped. And in society, they think that, men and boys don't get raped, but it happens. And so, I remember, coming up and people will always say, well, watch your little girls, because you don't want nobody touching them. Well, child, now in this day and time, you got to watch all your kids.
Yes.
And I want to say for women, if you have a brother who is honest and courageous and vulnerable, because we talked about that last time, remember,
Yes,
King?
yes, we did, Queen.
To be vulnerable enough to tell you something like that. Don't throw that up in his, do not throw that up in his face. That does not make him a weak man because something as traumatic has happened to him. Go ahead.
Yeah, and that's due to two reasons. One, because of the European aspect that we're taught as men. We're not taught the African aspect of being men and women. It's the systematic, I would say, assimilation into Western society. Brothers look at Rambo. When I was growing up, it was John Wayne, it was Spencer Tracy, it was, all those old gangster flicks. And then, of course, you saw Superfly when I was a kid, and Shaft, where the man got all the ladies, got all the cool. So men who are damaged to try and live up to the rules in a society that handcuffs us on a cultural basis, that exploit us on a cultural basis. I'm not saying that's the reason why men beat or do what they do. Men do what they do for their own reasons. But the aspect that when it comes to brothers who are healing sisters, you want an honest man, but when a man is honest, you don't know how to handle it because that means you have to check yourself. And that's why a lot of brothers, no offense, there's a reason, not an excuse. There's a reason why some brothers act the way they act. Even today in hip hop and all type of athletes are doing what they do. This identity binary stuff is all confusing. That's all European, verbiage, European vibe. And people gonna call me, saying that, that's an excuse. Then if that's an excuse to non-African people or non-melanated people, then you need to look in your mirror. But let's get back to at hand right now. But that's why a lot of brothers who, are dealing, that's why a lot of brothers, and I mean brothers, I'm talking about black men, because white boys say brothers too, but we say it with an A, just like the word, just like the N word. But sisters, if you really want to help a brother to get through this, one, don't treat him like he's a victim. Two, don't feel sorry for him. Be the empress.
And what do you mean when you say do not treat him like a victim? Can you expound on that?
I can definitely do that. Don't rub on us. We're not cats. Men are like John Gray, women are from Venus and men are from Mars. We are solution oriented. So if you want to help us, then help us. If we go to, I go to therapy. That helps. Go with the brother. If the brother too ashamed to go with him. That would help him so much because it helped me. You feel me? It helped me to talk with other people who are like me, and that's the only time I would say that I can say integration works. Because if you, it's like a dope fiend. Dope is the great equalizer. It don't matter if you white, black, gay, straight, rich, poor, and that's how mental health is. Because I know we're talking about rape, but rape and other violations of
it messes with your mental health.
it does. It violates your space.
Psychologically, right?
Yeah, it violates your brain space and it violates your 3 feet high and rising.
Absolutely.
You know, because it helps. It for me, I didn't trust folks.
Right.
For me, I had a dog attitude. Like, I'm gonna get you before you get me, because I felt powerless.
Right.
And because of that powerlessness, because of things that happened to me, because my violence, my innocence was violated, I felt powerless. So in turn, instead of following the American nightmare, I became the nightmare. So, so sisters, don't pat us. We don't vibe like sisters.
Ashe.
We vibe like brothers. We like, okay, okay, Empress, I told you what's up. So help me.
Right.
Because we know that women are emotionally stronger.
Yes.
Men are about action and women are about painting and details.
Right.
Even women who call themselves alpha females, they still females and are made mentally and physiologically for female. I'm not taking away from that, but understand that when brothers are wounded, you need to stop being scared of us and help us. Not by buying us stuff, not by sexing us, not by encouraging our ego, but by the aspect of helping us to empower ourselves on our journey. Because, no offense, sisters, I hear how, without the black woman, the black man is nothing. So now it's time to step up and show out.
Right. And it's really important, ladies, that we listen. My king tells me this all the time, don't you, King?
What did I tell you?
Listen.
That's true.
Just listen.
And what else do I say to that, though? I say, I'm not trying to be right. I just want to be heard.
You just want to be heard. Brothers want to be heard.
Yes.
Just like we want to be heard, sisters. Because we have this thing like, well, you're not listening to me. You're not hearing me. Brothers, we are the same. Men and women, we are the same. We want the same thing, except that brothers are taught not to express their feelings. In contrast, women, we're taught to. So if you have a brother that is struggling, he may be depressed, he may be angry, don't say, well, what's wrong with you? How about asking the question, baby, what happened to you
Exactly.
as a child?
I want to speak on that.
Go ahead, baby.
Because that's the whole point. In this internet age, the B side, which is the side that a lot of people don't listen to, but you turn and you might find a hit. But the B side is that brothers want to be engaged, not interrogated, what you driving. Now, I know we're going from rape to black relationships, but the continuity, the cohesiveness of this topic is what we're talking about as a whole. Is we're talking about black love, we're talking about why black folks can get together, we're talking about black African, we're talking about, and I'm gonna say African because we Africans. We talk about African unity, why African people can't do this. When I mean African people, I'm talking about brothers in the United Snakes of America as well as throughout the diaspora. But when you talk about the need for family, the internet has separated from human connection to really take chances, to really, be informed. That's why on the internet, a lot of people, when you meet a dude or you meet a female, they catfish. But the aspect is, sisters, engage your brother. Ask our journey. Exactly. And if you are not prepared to be in a relationship with a brother like me, or brothers like us, then be respectful and just admit it. You can't hang. Right. But you'd be surprised. The brother be like, well, let's do it together if you want that unity. Right. Sorry for clapping. I get excited. But I'm just saying, if you want that, you got to engage too. It's just not one-sided. And I see a lot of that talk. But, and I've had women throw it in my face. Oh, look at you, a fag, because you like men. And yes, because of that, I've been with brothers. I've been with transgender. I experimented because, like most people, when you are by yourself, when you are ostracized and no one's there to help you, you do what any scientist do. You test the thought. You put it to test. You implement it. You feel me? So we talk about male rape, but male rape or any type of invasion of space, any type of murder of innocence on men determines how we treat everybody else. It's not just mom wasn't down with us, we didn't get loved enough. We got loved all right, but we got loved the wrong way. And sometimes that's a lot to deal with being a man, because it really, it messes with how you see yourself, and how you see yourself is how you treat people.
And so what inspired you to get the help, King? What triggered? What happened?
Ooh, that's a good question, and I have a very complex answer. I lost everything, and when I mean everything, I'm talking about even my mental state of sanity, my state of sanity. Had I not had talked to somebody, I might not have said nothing. I might have killed somebody. I was that angry. Yeah. I felt that low. I felt like if this compassion that people talk about, because I met all type of people, Christian, Buddhist, quote unquote conscious, those who are into new age or free or new thought. I met all these people who talk about the aspect of love. It's the power. And yet these people weren't showing me no love. They were showing me pity. They would treat me like I couldn't take risk, that I wasn't intelligent, that I couldn't engage myself to heal myself. That's one thing I like about stepping away from the crowd. One of the things about being alone like I am and being in my head, of course you're going to have bad thoughts, but you also have a clarity. Pain can be a beautiful thing, but to answer your question, I lost everything. And most important, I lost my children. I have 6 children who I don't have any relationship with. And when I lost that, I lost the will to live. I thought about suicide 3 times, but was too chicken to even do that. That's how powerless I felt. But the first day that I said what I said, it was hard. Like most people, the first time you say, my name is blah, blah, I'm an alcoholic. First time you go to an AA meeting, to an NA meeting, or you go to, any other self-help group, 12-step or 9. That first time I told somebody I was raped was scary and shameful. But it wasn't about the people in the room. It was about me. And if people can't deal with it, then I have an appetite for that, but I don't want to take away from the commercial. Take away from the value of what we're talking about. You freeze up. You get quiet. People look at that gangster dude as that silent, strong type. When you find out something's wrong. Let's take, for instance, Spider-Man. Spider-Man is one of my favorite Marvel comics, next to the Black Panther, the Hulk, Batman, all those cats. I like comics, so DC, Marvel don't matter. But Spider-Man had issues. Right. He grew up without his parents. They were dead. You know what I'm saying? And he had issues with being a superhero, trying to live a normal life with these superpowers. So that's the same thing that I could say. When you're a brother and you have the abilities that I have, but you have that, it was raped. Oh, you look at men naked and am I gay? You have these questions to yourself. So, it's not that the world beats you up, but you beat yourself up. And you're that brother. Stop beating yourself up, brother, because you got company. I'm with you.
So I remember you started Suja Uponya.
Yes.
So I want to talk about some resources, and Suja Uponya being one of them.
Okay, cool. I didn't think we would talk about that because I'm still developing that. But my group, Suja Uponya, means warrior healing. That's Swahili. And I love Sister Iana. I love Sister Denise Nichols. Lisa. I can't think of her name, so please, sister, forgive me. She speaks a lot about body image and things like that. When I started seeing them, and even TD Jakes, when he started Woman Thou Art Loose, it was all for women. Every time, even when I was in church, there were sister groups, and even Islam, even Revolution. I'm a member of the AAPRP, All African People Revolutionary Party. They have a women's union to deal with women issues. But nobody has issues to deal with brothers. One, because brothers ain't gonna talk to a brother or anybody that ain't been through what they've been through. Two, being black, come on, man. We come out of the womb geared up for war. And within war, there's casualties. In war, there's wounded. So we come in wounded, you pump us up, say how much you love the black man, but then you send the black man out there. So you have all these groups for sisters to have a healing, because women are healers, a set and ist, same principle and deity. It's okay for sisters to love and cry on each other, but let a brother cry on a brother. Oh, brother, even brothers a hug. Okay, brother, they push away, the brothers start to cry. So we don't have an avenue for that, but Suja Oponya is for brothers to do that. And the direction I'm taking it in, I'm not going to try to talk medical terms. That's for the pros. I'm not a professional. I'm just an experienced person. But Suja Oponya is for brothers to come and heal and get that row out and find resources. Because again, I'm not a professional. I'm just a brother who decided to do something, who had issues, and how the issues affected my life, and how I saw the same issues I had from different brothers affecting their life. That's why brothers probably get hooked on drugs. That's why brothers probably go to white women, because it's an easier life. Because, being black and having the black woman ain't easy, because the black woman sometimes is the part of the problem. All these issues that y'all have with us, there are reasons behind that. But when a brother try to explain that reason, you shut him down. Oh, tell me that's an excuse. And black women, I love y'all because my mom's black, but y'all come up with that line every time. That's the excuse. But yet for y'all, your last boyfriend, you still can't get over that cat. So you're not contributing to the problem. So these are issues that Suja or Ponya deal with, where brothers can be brothers. And if a brother cry, that's his choice. If a brother yell, that's his choice. If a brother chooses to stay stuck, then that brother gonna stay stuck, but he won't be in Suja or Ponya. Because it's about solutions and not about revisiting the problem, which is why in most cases when brothers are court ordered to go here and go there, it don't work. But Suja or Ponya is for brothers to come and talk. I'm a super badass, no doubt, but I get wounded, and you get enough wounds where you die from serious wounds, like the Chinese torture of 1,000 cuts.
Yeah, so I wanted to end on the note a bit, family, that these are issues that we have to constantly talk about.
Say that again.
These are the kind of issues that we need to constantly talk about. And not just talk about it, but get into solution. Get into getting help. Because when a person that has been sexually violated, whether it's female or male, when they do not get the help, it manifests in anger, depression. Sometimes, particularly in women, we become very sexually promiscuous. Men become very angry and depressed. Also, committing suicidal thoughts. So all of these things can have an impact when we do not get the help that we need to release that pain.
And also, I like to say this too, and this is something that I experienced. When you talk about the DL, the down low, when you talk about the down low, a lot of brothers, I've been a part of that community. I was part of that community for 5 years. Yep, I'm gonna put it out there. And because of the fact is that I had no one to help me understand what was happening to me. And when I try to talk to women or anybody, they would just tell me, they would mention, go pray about it, read a Bible. If you go to a psychiatrist, they want to do you dope. But on the DL aspect, because of that, a lot of those brothers were molested. and they
Speak
struggling.
the truth, King.
A
Speak the
lot of
truth.
those brothers were molested. Some of those brothers were molested, but they had certain feelings about their sexuality, and because society will not let us be free to be who we are. Because I don't have any issues with homosexual people. I don't have any issues. Do who you are. Just don't bring it my way. That's the only rule when you mess with me. But a lot of those cats I knew, we talked, and a lot of them will say, "Man, I don't know who I am. I just got a need. I just need to feel. I need something to make me feel normal." So talking in a sex club or in a bookstore is not a place to talk about these issues, but that's what a lot of the brothers are talking about. So because of this incident of being raped, for me, that was the downplay. That was the downward spiral for me. That was the lack of identification. That was also the lack of confidence. When I mean identification, I identify myself as a man because I thought of myself as being a nobody. See, so that's why my story, which reflects every other brother's story, brothers who care to admit that.
And so it's just really important, once again, and I cannot stop reiterating this topic. We have to stop as a black community, as an African community, we have to stop sweeping these type of issues underneath the rug, because if we don't, our African community will continue to be fragmented the way it is now. And so I want to leave you with a resource that I found, which is called RAIN. And RAIN stands for Rape, Abuse, and Incest National Network. They also have a hotline, which you can call 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. It's anonymous, it's confidential, so you can call at any time. And the number is 800-656-HOPE. Once again, it's 1-800-656-HOPE, 4673. So, brothers, you do not have to be isolated. If this has happened to you, you do not have to be isolated. If you don't feel comfortable calling the 800 number, do you want to give out your?
By all means, connect me on Instagram, Sebek Senefer. I spelled Sebek S-O-B, B as in boy, E-K, Nefer. Means Sabin Nefer, which is SNBNFR. Look me up on Instagram, and the same for Facebook. You can inbox me. All information is confidential, at least between me and you. I don't know if the government is watching it, but in this case, who cares what the government see? If they see you trying to get some help, then let them see that. But connect with me. I want to connect with any brothers, particularly in the Los Angeles area or the surrounding areas. A lot of other men who are probably watching this, who are Caucasian, Hispanic, Asian, are going to feel a certain way because you're not invited. And you're right, you're not, because our issues are different. Because some of y'all buddies are the same people that call us nigga behind our backs to your face, and you do absolutely nothing about it. So this is strictly for brothers. This is not a have a coke and a smile. This is not a woo-hoo, boo-hoo, because 9 or 10 times when other people who are not African come into our midst, they're not really there to help. They're here to learn and pass on information on how to subdue us. They're not really here to help us, because I'm a firm believer in self-determination. But before we go, also, I saw some facts. You need to read those facts. I think that those 2 facts that you have.
Yes, I do have 2 facts, 2 key facts. The first fact is, a lot of people have this myth, or they think that, I'm sorry, not a myth, but this is a fact. Boys and men can be sexually used or abused, and it has nothing to do with how masculine they are.
Teach.
So some people in our society, they think that, men and boys can't get used and abused because you're supposed to be strong, right? Come on now. I read on another website, I can't think of it right now, but they said 1 in 6 men in their lifetime has been sexually assaulted.
And it's probably more than that now.
And it's probably more than that. And they said the same thing for women, 1 in 8. So it's the same thing is going on between men and women. The second fact here is if a boy liked the attention he was getting or got sexually aroused during the abuse, or even sometimes wanted the attention or sexual contact, this does not mean he wanted or liked being manipulated or abused, or that any part of what happened in any way was his responsibility or fault. Unfortunately, rape victims have a tendency to internalize what has happened to them as it being their fault. It is not your fault.
It isn't. And it isn't. And I want to talk to single moms.
Teach, King, teach.
Stop involve your son with men that are doing things. Stop telling them how.
What kind of things?
Like men who are teaching, men who you investigate, men that you encounter your son, that you have your children encounter. And if your child comes to you with that, if you choose that man over that child, they're gonna turn out like I did for 30 years of my life.
Right.
Because ain't no man worth the love of your child. At the same time, don't teach your children, particularly your daughters, that black men ain't nothing. That's another thing that attributes to that. And when you tell a young boy that, and if he starts to see that men ain't nothing because of how you treat them, he's gonna gravitate towards how you act, and in turn can evolve. Right. See, people talk about homosexuals change straight people. No, not at all. If you separate the most needed person from your son, because I'm talking about sons, because can no woman make a man? Real talk on that. And now I need to get over that. You can't make a woman can't make a man. So if you involve men in your life, involve somebody you can trust, and
do a background check.
Exactly. But also, follow your own mother intuition.
Exactly.
When you raise a child to love themselves, don't teach them anything about what to hate as far as a man, because we all tore from the floor up. Because the last person I heard was perfect. I'm not even a Christian. That perfect person don't exist. So involve your sons in stuff other than him being around you and you involving him in your relationship. Leave your children out of grown folk situation. Real talk.
Ashe. And on that note, I pray that this conversation will continue and will evolve and people will get help, because we as African people, we have to heal in order for us to move forward.
And we need to heal together.
And we need to heal together.
Together.
Not separate.
We thank you. And as we say in Madu, we say, do au Mary.
Do au Mary.
Thank you, Queen.
Which means, thank you, love. And we love you, family. Till next time.
Shahim Hetep.
Senepti.